Then you go up to larger companies such as U.S. Endoscopy up in Mentor. That is a almost $100+ million company that's focused on products in the endoscopy area. To larger companies such as Edge Park Surgical in Twinsburg, which recently got purchased by another conglomerate. That's a $500 million organization that's dedicated to supplying medical supplies throughout the country, all the way up to multinational companies such as Steris. So there's certainly a diversity in size as far as manufacturers participating in the medical capital area. In addition to that, you have some other manufacturers that have recognized in order to help support their business that they need to diversify into the medical arena. You have companies such as Quality Synthetic Rubber that has diversified into supplying products into the medical field. And you have a small company such as Cable Manufacturing out in Bolivar, Ohio, that for years has supplied cables to Ford Motor Company, but has recognized the need to get into the medical industry to help balance their company and make sure that they maintain their growth objectives with doing that. And on top of that, you also have the state that has a focus as far as the medical capital here within the entire state. For instance, recently the Third Frontier Loan Program that was refunded back in May with $700 billion, almost half of that is being repurposed towards the biomedical industry. So there's a lot going on within the area, not only within the Northeast Ohio, but all of Ohio as far as focusing on the medical industries.
Ken, I want to ask you, India, I want to hear your story in a second too, but there's a couple of clarifying or blanks that I'd like you to fill in for a second. How
Sure.
many people are employed in manufacturing in the medical device industry?
I actually don't have the specific statistics as far as people that are employed in the medical manufacturing per se. I think manufacturing for all of Ohio, if you take out computers out of Silicon Valley and oil out of Texas, Ohio is the third largest manufacturer in the whole country. There's a significant portion of those manufacturers that are growing in Ohio that are either diversifying into the medical business or are already involved in to some extent. I'm afraid I don't have specific numbers for you at this time, though.
And this is an odd question, but what's an electrical surgical pencil?
It actually, what it does is it actually, for all those who people are eating right now, excuse me, it actually cuts the flesh as the surgeon is operating on the patient, and the flesh also, it helps sucks up all the nasty stuff that comes as a result of that.
So it's a super scalpel?
Yes, exactly.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, that was, I just wondered. India Lee, go ahead.
Thank you, Dan. I'm going to bring it to a different place now, because most people don't think of medical capital and the medical industry and neighborhoods in the same breath. But 5 years ago, an amazing thing happened through visionary leadership of many people, philanthropic, the city, but more importantly, the anchor-based institutions, Cleveland Clinic, University Hospital, and Case Western. And that's the Greater University Circle Initiative. It's the core of what we call a new geography of collaboration. It's University Circle and the 6 neighborhoods surrounding it, contiguous. And over the past 5 years, it's just been an amazing partnership between the institutions and neighborhoods. From that, we have a multi-institutional collaboration with senior level staff from the institutions working together to look at place-based opportunities for development, infrastructure, and then what we call programs for the people. We've been working with Cleveland Clinic, University Hospitals, and creating jobs that will create wealth in the community, looking at ways to stabilize the community in a different way. I'll start with we, in May of 2008, launched the Greater Circle Living, which is managed by Fairfax Renaissance Development and University Circle, Inc. And it's an employer-assisted housing program to get employees of these institutions to live in those 6 neighborhoods. We have the Evergreen Cooperatives, which is a path-breaking, game-changing initiative that is creating for-profit businesses, meeting the needs of the institutions to create opportunities to tap into $3 billion of procurement annually that is spent by Cleveland Clinic, Case Western, and university hospitals in this geography in Northeast Ohio, and tapping to capture some of that procurement in these neighborhoods. The first to launch was the Evergreen Cooperative Laundry a year ago, September 21st, that has now about 25 employees, and then Ohio Cooperative Solar, and we finished the first installation of a 110 kilowatt solar array on the Health Spaces Cleveland Clinic, and now installations are going up at university hospitals and Case Western. In addition, in the spring, there's going to be a 5-acre greenhouse, Green City Growers. It'll be the largest urban food production greenhouse in the city, or in any city, and that will produce about 5 million heads of leafy green hydroponic lettuce, along with 300,000 pounds of basil and herbs to be sold to the institution and other food systems. Again, this is a way to create jobs in the neighborhood, stabilize the community, but working with the anchor institutions to tap into the procurement power that you have. But more importantly, I think the partnerships that have been created is that it's real, it's genuine. 5 years ago, the term Greater University Circle didn't exist. But if you go to the institutions, you hear people, just like we're talking medical capital, we hear people say, we're part of Greater University Circle, and I think it's a story that's unfolding. We've had a lot of national attention. We've had groups coming in from Atlanta, Pittsburgh, trying to figure out how they can look at this model to tap into their medical industry and eds and meds to really figure out how to anchor that capital in their neighborhoods and learn from what we've done in the last 5 years.
Thank you, India Pearsley of the Cleveland Foundation. I have a toss-up question for everybody, but India, I want to start with you. What do we as a region get out of this? If this is more than, if it's a rebranding, if it's successful, if we then begin to adopt this idea as that Northeast Ohio is the medical capital, and we all start repeating it, once a day for the next month, and see if it sticks. What do we get out of that?
I think that what we do is create a framework to leverage what we already have. We have assets here, and we're learning how to tell our story. It's how do we capitalize on what we already have that everybody else probably recognizes outside of Cleveland, and we just have to do a better job of telling the story. We have to do a better job of working together, leveraging our assets and linkages. Like we're talking about here, who would ever have thought that a panel would exist where you have neighborhoods, manufacturing, the medical industry. And I think we'll hear a little bit about the Cardiovascular Innovation Center and the partnership with Fairfax Renaissance Development Corporation, where you have a neighborhood-based organization working with a major institution like Cleveland Clinic. And when you think about the power, the number of jobs in Northeast Ohio created from the medical industry alone in every sector, we need to build off of that. We need to celebrate what we have here. We need to tell our story better.
Chris Coburn.
Well, in our society and really in business around the world, brands are exceptionally valued and very powerful in the sense that they carry a message. There's a whole story behind a brand. And, tomorrow night I'll be in Sendai, Japan, and I can predict I will be asked, they'll know Cleveland Clinic, we have a very recognized brand, but I predict I will be asked, where is that located? And
you'll reply, in the medical capital.
And I'll say, here's Dan's home phone number. So, we do work in my shop. We do work all over this continent. We have big Silicon Valley investors, and it's interesting when you're outside of your region. You spend a decent amount of time of any exchange explaining whatever that context is, and if we can be successful at developing this brand, it carries a lot of important information that you can just assume is known. So whether you're talking about trying to get investment, get people to move here, get companies to collaborate, if you've got this unifying brand for the region with all the numbers that are in the press kit here, it carries a real story. And I think it's something that will accelerate the growth of the region, and I think will help every institution and in my view, every individual in the region.
Dr. Gershon.
I think you also have to balance the brand for the region with the brand for the state. I can give an example in medical research. So Ohio is 7th in population.